You're listening to a DM podcast.
Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world. And have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy! Hey, guess what, Dottie?
What?
It's the blind leading the blind.
Whoa.
I've got some really exciting news.
Fill me in.
We are going to give a big giveaway of $5,000 of product.
Oh,
And guess what the product is?
what?
It's MOA blinds and shutters and indoor,
They're the ones
outdoor.
I used at home.
Oh, wow.
And Palmer, I used them for my blind. They were brilliant.
They're absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, Christmas has come early, so for the month of July...
Yeah, which is Christmas in July.
Christmas
I love
in
that.
July. So let's celebrate. And we're really grateful for all our listeners here at Over the Back Fence. And so we're going to have a little competition. So if you can...
I love competitions.
Yeah. So if you can DM us on our Instagram, like a little private message there, and tell us, you know, who's been your best neighbour, or what's one of the kindest things that you've done or someone's done for somebody else in your hood.
Yeah.
Could be.
Inspire everyone. Like,
Yes.
inspire us and say something that you did or they did for you, because that's what Over the Back Fence is all about, you know, inspiring each other.
And so, you know, we want to sort of celebrate
And did you say $5,000?
$5,000, and we're actually
know.
going to give it away at the end of the month.
End of July.
End
So
of July.
so there's 2 months for giving. There's December, and then there's for Christmas, and then there's Christmas in July. So it's a good time to do the competition.
Sure
So
is.
okay, so they've got a DM Over the Back Fence. Is that right?
Yeah, so just come to our Instagram and just message us and, you know, put it then the MOA for the blinds, $5,000 of product.
Brilliant.
And you know what I really like is because we do know them personally.
We've known them for,
And
I don't
it's-
know, gosh.
It's a
30
trust thing,
years.
someone coming
Yeah.
into your home, doing
It's
measuring
true.
up. They're just top shelf, the best blinds that you can get. And we're giving it away. So
it's
if you
true.
need someone or knows someone
Yes.
who might need some blinds
Yeah.
or updating your house.
I love blind. So okay, so they DM us on the Instagram Over the Back Fence, simple, easy peasy, and then we'll judge it, and then someone will win $5,000 worth of window.
So
That's great.
Yeah, all about giving.
Yay, absolutely.
Giving
Come on, guys,
gathers.
get in there and do it.
Woohoo.
See you soon.
Bye.
Ciao. Okay, guys, in the studio we have someone that I've been slightly following for a little weeny while. Nicola put me on to this beautiful one, Megan Castran's Instagram. She's known as the Jewelchic. Most things in her life are joyful and colourful, including her clothing, her creativity, even her car is colourful.
Yes, I
her
love
jewellery,
that.
her family, and of course her new roller skates, which I observed on her Insta. She actually shares her colourful life regularly on Instagram, which is so infectious and uplifting. Wow, there's so many dynamics to Megan. She also loves the arts. She's a regular on the red carpet with musicals and theatre openings. Megan is a well-known jewellery designer, now a knitwear designer with proceeds, God love you, going to the Olivia Newton John
Yes,
Foundation.
I know.
Megan is also Oprah Winfrey's friend, buddy, and now her Aussie media correspondent, well, has been for quite a while. So why not, without further ado, let's have a wonderful chat to Megan.
Yay!
That was so nice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Welcome,
yeah.
Megan.
Oh, thank
Such
you.
a pleasure.
I have to say
So-
congratulations on your podcast. And I actually listened to that lovely episode with Leslie.
Oh,
don't we love her?
Yes, and I think what's really missing is this sort of conversation where it's just like a chat. Because I loved I listened to the whole thing and I didn't at one point feel like turning off, and I feel like I know her now, and I
she's
love
the only
listening
person
to
that didn't want to turn up.
Yeah, it was like listening in on someone's conversation.
That's so
couldn't do it
beautiful
without
to
you.
hear that because,
Yeah.
as you
but
know,
here's Megan, typically bloody
sharing that, and
with
because we,
us,
as you can
yeah.
tell, you know, we're bosom buddies and we chat all the time, and we just love sharing our friendship with other people
Yeah.
and bringing people into our clan and being part of other people's clan.
Yeah, I felt like I
And
was
that's how we
there.
are.
It was
So-
good.
Oh, that's
God,
so
Megan,
good.
thank you.
Loved
we-
it.
we are
I'm going to
absolutely-
listen every week.
Yay.
I can't wait for the next one.
I'm weirdly a bit starstruck looking at Megan.
Oh,
I mean,
don't
be
no, we've had a few
ridiculous.
famous people in here because Nicola, you take over the question, but I follow you and Megan puts up, is it daily?
I do a daily happiness video.
Wow.
Right?
How cool is that?
Tell us about, sorry,
Yeah.
I just interjected, but I just get a bit starstruck there. But seriously,
It
how
started in
do you
COVID.
do that?
Yeah.
Could you do that daily?
I don't know.
You
no.
probably could,
But
I
I mean,
couldn't.
Megan, I'm an inspiration. You
No,
inspire me.
and I
Megan.
follow you,
But
and
no,
I-
I agree.
So
It started in COVID
Yeah.
because so many people were depressed, especially living in Melbourne where we were in lockdown for such a long time, It was terrible. And so I just thought, I'm going to make a video. In fact, my son-in-law
That's
sent
what
me
I thought.
me a podcast of someone who was doing a daily happiness podcast. And I thought,
Right.
I reckon I could do a daily
but
happiness
didn't he
video.
say that you should do it?
Yeah.
And you went, all right, why not?
And I thought, what a great idea.
Wow.
And so I started and I just committed to 50 days. And then when it got to the end of the 50 days, people were going, don't give up, please keep going. So I did 100. And my mum passed away actually in that time, in the second 50. I think it might have even been on the 100th day. So, trying to find something pleasant. But at the same time, I want to be real as well because I do share so much happy stuff and my life is generally happy. But of course, everybody has terrible, sad moments like losing my mum. I mean, that was pretty hard. Well, I don't like to say losing. I just say she passed away because I feel like she's still
Her
here.
spirit's right with you.
Yeah, and so when that happened, I thought I've got to share that too because I can't just share all those glossy rainbow tones. I have to share the realness of my mum passing away and my dad passing
And
away.
your beautiful friend.
Yeah. Oh my
Sister.
God, Mel and
You've
I
heard-
lost
I know.
15
Well,
friends.
I know.
15
Well,
friends
I
passed.
came to a
But I
funeral
was
today,
sad, yes.
and it's when I'm all in black.
Yeah.
But I know for you that you've lost a lot of friends
Yes.
as well.
15 friends last year alone.
Stop.
No, you
I
have.
have lost more
Yes.
friends than anybody I
God,
know over the
what?
years, and it all started when I was 40, and I had 6 friends pass away in my 40th year, and it was like it gave me such a shock. But what did I learn from that? I learnt that if you can speak at a funeral that you feel the need to speak at, you should. Like I know it's really hard to speak at your parents' funeral or your friends or whatever, but there was one time when the minister said, "Oh, would anyone like to get up and speak?" And I didn't, and I had a story I wanted to tell, but I was too kind of shy to do it. It was before I was doing videos and before I had that kind of feeling about myself. And I didn't do it, and I was so cross afterwards that I have always done it. I even spoke at my piano teacher's funeral because I was so determined to show another side of her.
That is something I think
Yeah,
we can
good girl.
all take away
Absolutely.
from that because
Yeah.
so
Don't
often
live
you
with
go,
regrets.
I'd like to say
Yeah.
it, but oh no, who
Yeah.
am I to say that? I won't, I'll be quiet. But then that moment's gone and you just jump in and do it.
And nobody
true.
minds if you cry. And the best advice, for some of your listeners who might be, approaching this time themselves, when I was driving to my dad's funeral, the lady who was driving the car said, "Okay, here's the best advice I can give you." She said, if you need to take a break for 60 seconds when you get up there, just do it. Just breathe in. She said, everyone will wait and
everyone will breathe in with
and they
you.
do, and it was and I always tell other people that just take a breath. If you need to take a breath or if you want to cry, like who cares? If someone cries
being
at the funeral.
authentic, isn't
Really?
it?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
true.
really what you are, But you are like you're a Geelong.
Sparkling.
Oh, sparkling! I know, but you're
She's
incredible.
sparkling,
It's interesting.
listeners, like this beautiful
Megan,
sequence.
I know. Well, Megan and I, we're really lucky, and we've got like the Oprah connection.
We do.
We do, because I've always been like, she's always been sort of like a role model for me.
Me too.
And for
Ditto.
you, and there's a whole community there. Megan also has had the unique, I suppose, what would you say? She's Oprah's Aussie best friend. You really
Yeah,
are.
Aussie.
Aussie.
Bosom buddy.
I mean,
Yeah, bosom
well,
buddy,
some
like
people
we
say
are.
that we're actually the Gail and Oprah, aren't we?
Well, they've
I don't
said
know
the
who's
Gail.
Gail
Well,
and who's
Gail is a
Oprah.
Capricorn, I'll have you know.
But how lovely
You know,
is
like
that? What
I
a
know,
compliment.
we take that as a
Yeah.
compliment. And
It's
people have,
lovely.
and that's come from America.
How did you meet Oprah?
Tell us about Oprah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
From the
So
start.
I met her in 2006.
Aloha.
Woohoo, aloha. And Paul and I decided to take vacation and we went to Hawaii. And Oprah had inspired me 13 years beforehand to start a business because I watched a show that she did about women who were married to men and they were married because they couldn't financially get out. I started a business the very next day after watching this show. And so I had always wanted to meet Oprah, not to because she's Oprah, but to thank her for inspiring me because it really,
I love that.
she was the pivotal thing to make me have some financial independence. So in 2006, we went to Hawaii and I was sitting by the pool and I heard this girl say, "Oh, did you see Oprah at the airport?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, what?" And then about 10 minutes later, she said to me, "Look, I have to tell you, we're Oprah producers, and she's brought 1,000 of us here to celebrate 20 years in television. And I'm like,
that was meant to be, wasn't it?
So I'm like, oh my
Meant to
God.
be.
So for the next 4 days, I was
Stalker.
like, yes. Every day I just sat by the pool. And I thought she is
love
going to
it.
come to the pool. And at one point I thought she was there, but it wasn't her. And, like my heart was beating, oh my God.
Wow,
It
this is
wasn't. And we're
great.
still friends to this day.
Do you know what? Believing.
And never giving up.
And because all the producers and all the staff had a purple wristband on, I became very aware of who
You went and bought one.
charged everything to the rent. I should have. Anyway, on the last day I was there, I saw everyone was a little bit dressed up, and I thought, oh, they look like they're getting Santa photos. You know, when you dress.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, Oprah photos.
Oh, yeah.
And that's exactly what was
Girl.
happening. So I followed these people at a stalkerish distance.
Just part of the group.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I saw her maybe, 100 metres away. I can still see it in my mind's eye when I tell the
love this.
story. So I yell out, hi, Oprah from Australia. And she turned around and waved at me, and I just about had a heart attack.
I bet.
So
She's
that egged me
fainted.
on. I yelled out, I started my business 13 years ago because of you. And so she
The voice.
stood up from where she
Unapologetic with
was,
the voice.
and she came across, and she was like closer than you are to me now. And I don't know if you've seen episodes of her talking about when she met Sidney Poitier for the first time or
Yes.
whatever, and she could barely speak.
You mean the sexy voice.
All I could get out to her was like, I'm feeling how you were when you met Sidney Poitier and you couldn't speak. And this is
you
about the most
say that to
cohesive
her?
thing I said to her.
This is magic. This is gold.
And I told her my business, and she said, oh, well, God bless you. And she was so lovely. So anyway, we got a little snap. Zoe, my daughter, was there, and she took a photo. And so what was funny was when I came home, I was so excited to tell my friend Leah. This is in this 40th year where I said that I had 6 friends pass away. Leah was one of those people. And Leah said to me before I went away, she said, you've got to buy The Secret on video. So I rang her up and I go, Leah, I'm at Oprah. And she goes, have you watched that movie I told you to watch yet? And I'm like, no. And she said, I'm hanging up, go and watch it. So I went and watched it. It was at that moment I realised that I had been creating my reality by my thoughts and my actions, and I hadn't known. But retrospectively, I can see a lot of stuff in my life that I created from believing in it.
So then from that, how did it all happen when Oprah comes to Australia?
So
And
then-
meets
I'm dying
me,
to
and we
know
wanna
how
know
I love
the
saying
story.
join the dots here.
Yeah.
Like,
So I wrote to them and I said, hey, I'm coming across. Do you think I could come to the show? Sure. What date? So I give the date. They go, no problems. As we walked in, I said, all I want is for them to say, who's come from the furthest distance, because then I can talk to her again. So she walks in and she goes, okay, everyone, who's come the furthest distance? And Paul looked at me as if I was a
Bullshit.
witch. She was on the stage and she said, oh, well, if I ever come to Australia, I'll call you up because you'll be the only person I know. And I believed it. And so I stood up and went down onto the stage with my business card and I gave it to her. So that she'd be able to look me
You
up.
can't be shy, can you?
I
You've
can't
just
believe I
got to
did that
be
myself, actually.
Did they say Stalker in The Secret?
I went to lots of her shows, and then in the very final year, I was sitting in the front row, and she kept looking over at me, and I knew that she kind of remembered but didn't remember, and when you sort of recognise someone. And I put my
She's an
hand
energy
up.
person too.
Correct. And I put my hands up and she came over and held both my hands and I said, I really hope you bring your network to Australia. And she said, I'm really going to try. And I said, well, I'll help you. And she looked at me and she goes, I never did come to Australia. I said, I know, because you didn't call me up. And she goes, oh my God, I've still got your card. And she still had my card. And what I didn't know was they were planning that Australian trip, that first one, at the time. And so a few months later, the producers called me up and they said, hey, we're just calling in. Sometimes we check out our audience members and find out how they're doing. And I'm thinking, this is really strange. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? And I said, if Oprah's coming to Australia, please let me have enough warning so I'm there. I don't want to have books and I'm not there. Can you imagine? And so when they announced in October on the show that she was coming, whoomph, so the producers were like ringing me and asking me to help, various things like the baby shower and the hot air ballooning and what to do here and there. And I didn't know what I was really helping
You just
with.
said, "No
I was just
problem."
happy to help
So
and
you
be a
put the
part
phone
of
down
it.
and went, shit.
And so then I had a friend, Suzanne Carboni, who wrote for The Age. She's a fabulous writer. And she had to do an article about Oprah. And she wasn't, really an Oprah fan like me. And she said, because she used to come to my house for tacos every week. I had this little group of single girls that used to come over. She said, can I write about you instead of, I don't know what to write. Can I write about, I'm like, sure, write about me being a fan and wanting to see Oprah.
Love it.
So she writes the article, but you know what she said? Megan would love Oprah to come to taco night. I'm like, holy cow, Suzanne, I never said that. Like,
Put it out there.
Anyway, I just wanted to die.
Wow.
However, it was that article that the producers said, hey, can we bring 10 of our guests and 10 of your guests and we'll talk about America and Australia and we'll film you for the Oprah show. So I knew I was going to be on the show, but I didn't know that when I opened the door, Oprah would be behind the door.
You didn't know that?
I did not.
Are
And do you
you
know what?
joking?
Still to this day, I
Did
have
Paul
friends.
know, your husband?
No, I asked him that.
Yeah.
Stop.
No.
To tell the story what happened that night.
It was
Yeah.
the 10th of December and my birthday's the 8th. So I told all my friends that they were coming for birthday tacos. So nobody knew what was going on.
Lucky friends.
So you were seriously doing birthday tacos?
The group that came, fortunately, were just the people who I always had for tacos.
So what happened that night?
Okay.
So anyway, so I opened the door and she goes, I bought the tequila. And
No,
I'm like,
you opened the door. Oprah's there saying, I bought
did
the
it go
tequila.
ding dong?
yeah, ding dong. And the producers said to me, quick, go to the door, let the 10 guests in, have a little bit of a chat with them, mingle around, because they've set me up to believe that I've got 10 guests coming. I had like tables set up for millions of people. So I opened the door and
this
there's
is so
Oprah and there's no 10 guests. I'm still looking for the 10 guests, even though she's there.
This is
And it
incredible.
was so
With a bottle
wonderful.
of Oprah with a bottle of
Two
tequila.
bottles of tequila.
Whoa,
And-
go
Oh,
Oprah.
we love someone that brings 2 bottles of
But
tequila.
the backstory is 13 years prior to that, I had been wildly ill on tequila and I never wanted to drink tequila again. And that
To kill her, I call it. To kill her.
Yeah, and that was
Tequila,
the first
tequila.
time I had tequila. But now I love it again.
I want to know now, how has she, since then, meeting her? Like, she's been your inspiration, but now meeting her, now becoming a friend of her.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you're
crazy,
friends.
isn't it?
How is that now?
Well,
Your journey?
realistically, I was just a guest on her show that night. Even though I felt like her best friend and thought, I had no way of getting in touch with her. Like, once that was done, I knew the producers, but I had no connection to Oprah. And then when Oprah started her network up, it called The Own Network, it wasn't really a big success at first. And so a lot of her fans were like, oh, and there was about 35 people around America who started this group up called The Own Ambassadors. So I joined the group. And then one lovely girl, Nada, who passed away last year.
Yes.
Sorry,
saw
there's been
that.
so many. Yeah.
Yeah, terrible. So she said to Oprah in a tweet, hey, can we all come to your Oprah Magazine Day and maybe you could have lunch with us? And Oprah says, sure, my treat. And I'm like to Paul, we have to go to America. We have to go because this is my reconnection with Oprah. Otherwise, it would never have happened again.
And I tell you what, you've got such a supportive husband in Paul. Like,
Very.
Yeah,
you know,
he's
really
good.
is. Like, tell us about
Two
your love
peas in a
story,
pod.
really, like with Paul, and then being a partnership for how many years? Have we
We've been married for 32 years.
Well, is there a secret?
That's enough, isn't it?
Is there a
Come on.
secret? I mean, and also, I think nearly every video, and I watch you I'd say nearly every day. I don't think, unless the very rare
it's
occasion,
beautiful.
it's always you and Paul
It's
together.
cool, and
it's
he's so supportive of you.
it's
He
a
really
team.
is.
So
Yeah.
divine.
tell us
He
about
is good.
that. Like,
He's-
is there a secret? Or?
I think the secret is doing
We're
things
back
together.
to that word, secret.
Because a lot of people do a lot of separate things to their
Yes,
partners.
yes.
And when we were first married, he used to, even when we had kids and he was working all the time, he used to take Thursday afternoon off just for like 3 hours and we'd go to the movies, we'd get a babysitter and we'd have our own time. And then as time go on, we go to the gym together. We do lots of things together.
See, a lot of women listening would go, you got to be freaking kidding
Yeah.
me.
I've had
yeah,
women-
I do
exactly,
not
because
want to
sometimes I
spend
go,
time
get me away from
with my
husband,
partner
Yeah.
that long. That's why
Yes.
you're rare little gems in that sense.
Yeah, but I think he was the one who
magic.
insisted on that time. And I think that's what's really created
And
it.
you
because
seem to be each other's cheerleader.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
correct or
Yeah,
not?
we are.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
To me, he
Supportive
supports
equally.
you.
No, even
and
before
you
I
support
came in,
him.
look, he's written a list of things to talk about with you.
No.
Oh my God! Can we read it? Tell us. I'd love to know
Probably
what
won't
Paul
even
said.
make any
you know.
sense. I have to Yeah,
Oh.
before I do an interview with Oprah, he'll run it through with me. And
He's actually a bit like your own producer, isn't
Yeah, he is.
You know,
He's
he's
very
taking
good.
photos
No,
beforehand.
for everyone listening, we're going to put photos up because Megan's nails are all different, beautiful colours of the rainbow. All her jewellery around her neck and her wrist are just all multicoloured, stunning. And look, if you follow Megan Jewelchic on Insta, you'll see her every day with different coloured T-shirts and knitwear and whatever. So how did the colours come about? Like,
Do you
I
know
need
what? I've
to
always
know.
liked colours. I've just
Like-
always loved colours.
Like, have you
and-
always painted and drawn?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like made jewellery? Like, or was that...
Yes, even as a kid, I made jewellery out of
Right,
Fimo
so you've
and all
always
that
been
sort of stuff.
artistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I used to sell them at school. I used to make little brooches out of DAS. You know, that DAS.
Yeah, remember
All
Dad?
the way
Yeah.
through. I love that.
Yeah. And my grandfather was actually a real jeweller, and I used to work in his shop. Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Megan and I actually share quite a bit together as well, and we're both exchange students to the States. So I
do want to
Where did you
circle
end up?
back.
I
Think.
ended up in Minnesota.
Wait, but
And I was in Indianapolis, baby.
Oh,
I was
stop it. I've got
yeah.
friends
Both
who
in
live
the,
I was in the heartland.
no one went to LA or
See,
New
we
York.
brought that up.
No.
So
Bugger.
how was that? Did
Miami.
that change you, or what?
Yeah, I
impact did
reckon
that have
that
on
made
you?
me who I am. I think that
Yeah.
made
In what
me.
way?
Because I remember when I was in the States, if you said to somebody, "Are you a good tennis player?" they'd go, "Yeah, I'm a great tennis player," or "I play
So
A-grade
true.
tennis," and all that. Whereas in Australia, we'd go, "I'm
What is
okay,
it?
a bit of a hit and giggle
the
or
tall
whatever."
poppy syndrome, would you say?
Correct.
Really? Yeah.
Correct. And
So
so
true.
that's the one thing I learned, to speak up about myself in a good way, not to put myself down to make, to make everyone else feel better, because that's crazy. Like if you're good at something, I'll say what I'm not good at as well.
I don't know where it stems from. Is it because we're a little big island floating out there in the middle of the Pacific or
I
something?
don't know,
Like,
but that tall poppy
why?
syndrome thing is a thing.
I don't know where it
is.
came
I
from.
hope it's sort of
I
ending
don't like
a bit
it
now, but I think now with
I
our
come from such a
podcast
positive family, and it's only Nicholas. No, I'm one of 8, and everyone's. So my father was like that. We both have
Was
very
he?
similar
That's
fathers.
nice.
My
Yeah.
father's very similar to
we're
Nicholas.
both lucky.
Yeah.
Do you have both your parents? Are they still around?
No,
We
but all
don't
our
know.
parents
We've
are
got
passed,
each other.
passed
Yeah.
on too.
It's sad though,
This
isn't
is
it?
my mother and my father.
Can I tell you
And
a
my
story
bosom
about what
buddy.
happened this
Tell us.
morning?
What?
Because you'll love
Story.
this.
Yeah.
So today, Paul and I, we went for a walk doing the touristy thing around near the Harbour Bridge. When my mum and dad were on their honeymoon in 1955, I've got this tiny little picture that I found in my dad's wallet after he passed away that he'd kept of my mum and dad with the Sydney Harbour Bridge in the background. So I found that spot and I took a picture there.
Stop. That was today.
Yes. So I take this
I
picture,
know.
right, and I'm saying to Paul, "Oh God, Mum and Dad would have loved that." And as we're walking back, I wonder if I'm going to cry telling this story.
We love that.
We love
Excuse me, it's good for the ratings. Cry, please.
As I
love
was
tears.
walking back, like I said, is that a rainbow to Paul? And it wasn't a rainbow in the sky. It was a rainbow in the quay, like really, really low and really faint. And I couldn't believe it. And I really believe that was my mum and dad going,
that's
"You came and took a picture in our spot." It
that
wasn't in
got
the
me.
sky. It was in their spot. Isn't that great?
Were you taking anything at the time? Or
I've got video evidence.
Even drinking
it was psychedelic. That's
isn't that
actually
great?
freaky.
the odd
How
mushroom
beautiful.
diet.
Absolutely.
Do you seek for joy,
important, huh?
or do you think it comes to you, or do
I
you?
think
What's
that
your attitude towards
I think
it?
I notice stuff like, I go,
It's
"Oh, look at the
awareness.
beautiful colour of the glasses."
Yes.
I just love to notice stuff. Look, there's lots of things to be miserable about, isn't there? If you want to.
More than not.
I see so many people stuck in grief for their parents or whatever. And I think that for me as a parent, when I pass away, I don't want my kids to fall in a heap and not be able to live their life. I want them to be sad for maybe a month, couple, maybe. But then I want them to go, "You know what? Mum wouldn't want this. Mum would want us to get out there and live our lives.
Kick ass.
And I think to honour their memory, it's better to be doing. I think, I wish I could tell Mum and Dad this. I wish I was, I wish they could listen to this podcast because my dad would have loved listening to this.
Yeah, how
we'd love your
gorgeous.
dad
Yeah.
I actually
doing
said
that
to the
too.
kids recently, I said to them, I had a 34-year marriage, split up a couple of years ago, and I actually said to them, if anything happens to me, I just want you to know that I've had the best life. I've squeezed the juice out of it.
That's so
just
good.
don't ever forget that.
Yeah.
And then they're going, "What?" And I walked off.
And
That's a bit me. They know I'm a bit mad. But I was just like, I had to share that and say it at that moment.
There's so much more ahead, isn't it?
But I needed to share it
So
with them because if
more.
I was died tomorrow, they would never have known that. So listeners,
How old do you want to be? Do you want to be 100? I want to be 100.
125.
Oh,
Set it high.
I've got to say a bit of a congratulations to Megan because you're a grandma.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Oh my God, that's
you're a mother
the
of
best.
2.
Mike, what did you do when you saw them after you've been away? You were away for a
We had to
while.
also-
I was away for half his life.
I love
He's
that.
only 4 months. I missed
Isn't
2
that
of them.
great?
To let the
so
listeners
beautiful.
know, Megan's a mother of 2 and both her children are now married, which is really
Yes.
exciting because I love watching all the weddings and the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And then your beautiful son Maxie's had a baby boy,
Oh my
Bodhi.
God.
What's your name? Are you Glamour?
Do you know
or-
what? I don't even mind grandma. Everyone's very determined I have another name, but I like grandma. But then
Oh,
someone
it's
said to me
cute.
the other day, "Why don't you get called Chicky, like Jewelchic, like Chicky?" And I
yeah.
quite
Oh,
like
that's
Oh,
that.
cute.
Chicky,
That's
Chicky's
cute.
quite cute.
Yeah.
So I don't
What
know.
was
We'll see what he
Mum?
comes up with.
Oh, my mum was Nana JJ.
See, Mum was Mimi.
Oh, Mimi. We love
I
Mimi.
know where it came from.
Does it change being a grandma? Because we're not there yet, are we?
We're not.
Do you know what? I actually have found a new. We were always close, but I have found, and Max even said this to us today. There's a new closeness because they're reliant on us a little bit, and they like knowing that they can come over. And I love seeing Bodhi, so I look after him little bits here and there to give them a couple of hours, here and there. And I think it brings you even closer than you were.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
That's your blood.
And they've been really good parents. Like Ali's even got him a library card, which I love.
Oh, I love
library
that.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got the most
Wow.
beautiful
He's
children.
got to read 1,000 books by the time he's hit school, and that can mean little picture books and stuff. So she writes them all down. It's very cute.
You know something, Megan, I just want to say that I follow you. You do inspire me and you make me happy.
Do I?
I'm happy. As a human, but you make me happier.
Really?
So I just
That's so nice.
Because I imagine it would be, for example, if I daily put posts up, I'd be there going, I'd be throwing stuff, I'd be eating a burger and whatever. Just the fact you do that, and it would take a lot of energy and effort. I just wanted to say thank you.
I say thank you too. I agree. I
Thank you.
concur
That's
with
so
that
nice.
too. You
Yeah.
really do add joy.
I do get a lot of really nice messages
And
from
you're genuine.
people saying
Yeah, you're genuine.
Where are your followers from, Megan? Are
God
they
everywhere.
Well,
like
me, I live in
global?
Palm Beach.
Mainly, do you know?
Like,
No,
what's the
do you know what? The
percentage?
majority
Yeah.
is Melbourne and a little bit of Sydney.
Okay.
But yes,
little bit of
definitely,
Sydney.
definitely USA and London.
London, yeah.
Yeah, it's really
But
interesting.
you've also got a Jewelchic community.
Yeah.
You really do, and you
Yeah.
support.
And you have lunch with them.
And you have
Yeah,
lunches
I
with
do.
them.
That's me.
And it's, you're coming to the next one.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I love that. I thought that was a beautiful thing to do.
But I think
Yeah.
social media is about being social. There's no
Yeah.
point having a page
Never
if
heard
you're
that.
not ever going to write to someone, or even Oprah does that, like you can't just get all these beautiful messages and not acknowledge them. People, like the other day I was driving along, I'd just come back from America and I was driving in my rainbow car and I was
literally
Amazing.
thinking,
You've
is.
seen Megan's. We'll put a picture of it.
Oh,
It is
it's fabulous.
incredible.
and I was thinking, I wonder how long, because look, I'm sure there's people that roll their eyes and go, "Oh, did you see her with the car?" But
Sure.
they're not my speed.
That's okay.
That's okay
Yeah.
as long as I don't say it to my face, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I was thinking,
What would
I
you say
wonder-
back to them? F
Nothing.
off?
No.
I'm
No.
only joking. You're
No,
too
'cause
beautiful.
it's just their
She'd
thing,
probably
you know.
go,
Because we were saying that also
I'd
when
love
you
to
put
hear.
yourself out there and like with our
Yes,
body, you
yeah.
get, like today we're going, yay, we're
You're-
sort of like,
you're
loving the
exposed, so to
sunshine of
speak.
nice compliments. But gee, there's going to be some slam
Oh,
dunkers.
yeah,
Sarah.
but who cares?
And I always think,
how do
you know
you
what I
find
do? I
that?
feel sorry for them. Send them love.
I just want to tell you the story
Yes,
about the
yeah.
car. But so I was thinking, just in my head, thinking, I wonder how long I'll drive it for. Will I always have a rainbow belt? And I'm thinking, yes, I will. And as I'm thinking that, this guy crosses the road and he looks at the car and he smiled and then kept crossing. And I thought, this is why I do it, because people smile. Kids smile at the car. It's so lovely. How do I deal with negative people? When it first happened on YouTube, I remember someone going, "Oh, I hated your laugh," or "I hate your hair," or I don't know, something. And I was really upset and I was really offended. Now, honestly, I could not care less.
No.
Do you know what I do? I block and delete.
Brilliant.
that's
I don't leave
That's
the
a very
comments
smart
there.
move.
I don't think that
You
they've
don't
got the
need
right
that.
of speech
No.
on my page.
No, well
Of
said.
something
Actually,
negative.
I think I've heard you say that.
Yeah.
Never.
When there's been something there, you actually then go, "This isn't part of my tribe here,"
No.
and
Gone.
that's just it.
Wanted to quickly ask about what you'd done for the Olivia Newton John Foundation.
Yeah.
And how, because you knew Olivia
Oh, I loved
quite well.
Olivia. I
Tell us
actually
about
gave
it.
her my,
Yeah.
because I do a homewares line with House,
Yeah.
rainbow sort of
I
tea towels
love-
and
I've got-
different things.
I've got a
Richard's
lot
got
of-
some.
Richard's got
Yeah.
a whole lot of
Love
stuff.
it.
He
Yeah, there's a whole
loves
lot of
it,
different
I know.
products, and I love doing
beach
that. And I
towels are
actually
great.
gave Olivia my whole everything I earned from my second season to her charity, which made me feel good. I liked that. But then I couldn't keep doing it because she changed her foundation to America. And when she talked about my products online, then Americans wanted it and they couldn't get. So,
It's
you know,
too
so that,
hard,
yes.
yeah.
So now I donate to her through my sweaters.
Yes.
And-
They're
and
beautiful.
she
I bought
loved
one.
them.
I
She
loved
loves
it. Actually gave it to
them.
another girlfriend because she wanted it.
And when we were doing them, she goes, I said, "Which ones would you like me to send you?" And she goes, "Do you think I'm too old?" She said, "I really like that one with rain, but do you think I'm too old?" I'm like, "Olivia, no. Of course you're not too old." It was really cute. And so she got that one and she really loved them. And she used to send me like little videos of her with the products and just sometimes just with her voice in it. And she was the real deal and so lovely. I mean, you know that because Richard, your partner, has been very good friends with her. And she's honestly one of the kindest, most gorgeous people I know. One day I was telling her about my friend Mel, who recently passed from MND, and she said, "Do you think she'd like me to call her up?" And I'm like, yes.
Wow.
So who does that? Like,
Hello.
she was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean,
it comes from her.
And, you know, she got breast cancer and look what she did. She said, okay, I know how to deal with this. I'm going to raise money.
Yep.
And I'm going to open a centre.
And I said that to her. I said,
Wow.
isn't it weird?
Legacy
It's
Isn't it weird
remarkable.
retrospectively looking back?
Oh,
You know,
that's
you look back at
amazing.
her life and you go, okay, she got cancer, and she opened the world up to, you know, sharing these stories. How many women in Australia felt so blessed to know her? I'm getting chills. I know this is right.
No.
How many people were inspired, and because of her living, they lived too, because they had that thought that they could live. If Olivia lived,
Yep.
they could too. And then she didn't share it when it came back,
Yeah.
and it went. And then she shared it the third time, I think, because, you know, she knew it was pretty
It's
serious.
inevitable.
But she was just incredible like that.
So
and
she's
so
all about mind,
retrospectively
body,
looking back,
spirit.
you think she shared that. Then she met her husband, John, who was Amazon Herbs. And then
Go figure.
And then so she became very responsible for bringing the legislation for cannabis into Australia. She's had lots of meetings in Canberra, and which meant that my mum, when she was in pain, felt comfortable trying marijuana because Olivia Newton John, girl next door, had tried it.
Right.
And
So she felt
Yeah, the girl
comfortable.
next
She made that comfortable. And so, you know, she met John, and I don't know, to me,
And that was a real love story. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you
very.
saw
They're
like
meant
the,
to be.
the memorial,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
John had wore the poncho
that he
and
got married
spoke.
in.
He
Yeah.
got married in,
Yeah.
and I was watching with Richard spoke at the memorial, and I was watching it at home with a couple of girlfriends, and everyone was looking at John going, I want a man like him.
Yeah.
He had
He's
the poncho, but
gorgeous.
he was
She
the
was
real
mad
deal.
about him.
Yeah,
And you could see
wow.
I was
Yeah.
so sad I was
Inspirational.
overseas for that.
We
I
should
can't even
interview
believe
him.
it.
He'd be
Well, I think he's
inspirational.
back in the States.
He is.
now.
We'll do a
He's back in
zoomy
the
doomy
States
with
now,
him.
But yeah, but,
And she's all about body, mind, and spirit for
100%.
wellness.
And I love that she wanted to call it the wellness centre and
Yes.
not the,
Yeah,
not the
like-
hospital.
And
exactly,
acupuncture
exactly.
and other
It's softer
alternative
landing
medicines
in so many ways.
in conjunction.
You should come down and do the walk
You
with me.
know.
I've got a Jewelchic team.
We should
Last
do
year,
that.
our team raised
Yeah.
more money than anybody else.
I know.
We'll do it. We'll
that
come.
was fantastic.
And so I'm committed to do that every year.
We'll do the
Because she's not
podcast
here
from there.
anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I
so-
think now.
Oh, yes.
Megan,
Oh, my
I
God,
don't know.
yeah, we
Tom,
forgot.
a couple
I
of
know.
couple
We
of
hate to
questions.
chat.
No, partner, what-
Checking
okay,
with someone
quick,
so
we've got
gorgeous.
A few little questions.
Yeah. What words of wisdom would you have if you had an opportunity to meet your 20-year-old self?
I would tell myself to really look after my joints and my back and not do crazy things that I've got sore backs from.
Because you were doing aerobics in a big way.
Yeah, I taught
like
aerobics as a teen, in my
Like you.
20s and all that.
And
I
She
loved
was a
that.
Jane Fonda in Martinique.
I loved all that. And would I have listened back then to that? Probably not, because I loved it, But I'm very mindful about my health now, and I want to really prioritise that. So I would probably have said to myself, I've never done drugs, so, I wouldn't have had to say don't do drugs or anything like that. But even alcohol, I was saying to you guys before that this year I started with 28 days off alcohol, and now I'm like, it's 4 months into it, and I'm feeling quite good, and I'm feeling like I want to continue. I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again, because I will.
Incredible.
Oh, thanks. I think the skin thing is a big thing.
Yeah.
But I also want to get a little bit less on sugar, but I really, I want to live to be 100.
Yeah,
Do you feel
fair
waking
enough.
up brighter and better without alcohol?
Yeah.
Do you notice that?
Yes.
When it's
Clearer in the head.
Yeah,
consistent?
I do. And I know that when I've, had 28 days off it before and then you have a drink, you always go, what did I do that for? Yes. And when I come home from not drinking, I'm always very glad that I haven't had a drink. I go, because I don't need it to talk.
No, and a lot of people have it for confidence.
But Paul can go out and
feel
have a
they
drink,
can-
and that's cool.
I don't care.
fun
Anyone
with
can
it.
drink.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's okay. Cheers to that, Dodie. It's our launch day.
All
So,
right. Behave.
okay. Megan,
Next question.
our lucky last question
Lucky last.
is if you could share the back fence with anybody over this whole planet Earth, who would it be and why?
Well, if it was living or dead, I would say my parents, because I would love to see them again.
What's
I
their
really
names?
would. Marge and Bob.
And what
Marge
would you
and
chat
Bob.
about?
do you know what? Just the kids. I'd love my mum to have been at my daughter's wedding. All that. I'd love them to have seen Bodhi.
And Dad to see what you're doing now on Instagram.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, he saw all that, but I'd love, I miss them because they were my biggest cheerleaders,
Right.
But if it was an alive person,
No, it's
of course
Paul.
it's,
Yeah, come on, who's an alive person?
Well, Oprah, because I still feel...
I was waiting for that.
Even
but
though...
I loved how she preempted
I love it.
Yeah. Even though I know her and, we chat and all that sort of stuff, I want to chat to her more, because she is Oprah, so I can't talk to her every 10 seconds. But I'd love her over the back fence because I like how she's really into her health at the moment too, and that inspires me even more.
Right.
And I'd like to be able to have there's quite often things I think about, and I think, I wonder what Oprah would think about that, or wonder what she does with that, or... I
Maybe she might just buy a little house in Melbourne right next door to you, or
That's
you
right.
might give a
Wouldn't
little
that be
place
cool?
of Maui.
Yeah,
You
she
could
could just
have-
move in. I would let her
you
move
and
You
in.
could have
what if she's
taco
your
nights
neighbour?
together.
I'm coming to visit you all the time, but
Yeah.
with or without Oprah, would love to see you. But Megan, you have just been such a
amazing.
joy,
Yeah.
and
that
thank
was
you
Can't wait
so
to put the
much
photos
for
up too.
Yeah,
Very
that.
cool, divine.
But you are joy, and you're
Yeah.
pure joy for us. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for
on.
every
having me.
minute of that.
Congratulations on a great podcast.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for that. Well, everyone,
Thank
thank you
you.
for
Enjoy having
listening,
you today on the
and
launch day
you'll hear from us next
Shining
week.
star. You've got a light.
Thank you, Megan.
so
we love
much.
you.
That was fun.
Yay.
Well, guys, we look forward to joining us at the back fence next Monday.
Yeah, so tell your friends, rate and review. How many stars do we want, Didi?
25, and even though it only says
I think
4.
I think it says 4 or 5 stars. Because really, I'm just learning, but that's really the only way that community
Spread the
grows and
word.
spread the word.
Yeah,
So share
it's
the
true.
potty to friends,
That's what it's all about.
and thank
to
you for
share it.
listening.
And look forward to chatting with you on Monday. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye bye.